What's stopping property investors getting past 2 properties? Hey everyone, David Thomas, Trilogy Funding. Today we're going to cover the most common issue that property investors have, and that is not being able to move past having 2 investment properties. We see it all too often. The first investment property comes really easily, the second one is not too hard, and then we grind to a halt and never actually continue to build our property portfolio. We see this time and time again. You've done all the hard work, but you're failing to capitalize and being able to grow your portfolio into the future. So today we're going to unpack why this happens and the things that you need to do to keep growing your portfolio strategically and safely. So here's the truth bomb. Most property investors never get past 2 properties. According to the ATO, in recent tax returns, 90% of property investors only own 1 property, and only about 5% of property investors actually own 2. And the number that move past that and get on to their 5th or 6th property is only 1% of property investors, which is a crazy number. Let's have a look at why that might be. Number 1, everyone says it, serviceability roadblocks. There's only so much a bank can lend you based on your incomes of PAYG, self-employed, or rent. The next one is cash flow fear. If you've got negatively geared investment properties and they're taking money out of your pocket each month, when you get to the 3rd property, that's 3 things taking money out of your pocket each month, not to mention your home and also your family and living expenses. The next one that I see is equity confusion. People not sure where they can access equity, how they can access equity, or they may have got themselves into a situation where they're unable to access equity due to the structure of their current loans. The next one that I see is analysis paralysis. Maybe out of the first 2 properties, you picked one that wasn't so good, and therefore you want to make sure that the next one that you get is just perfect. Perfection doesn't exist sometimes, and it takes a long time to actually discover or identify the 3rd property. And the last one that I see is just lack of strategy, lack of lending strategy, and lack of being able to pull all the pieces of the puzzle together to accomplish what you're trying to achieve. So the first big hurdle is serviceability. We hear this time and time again from property investors. They say the bank's cut me off, there's only so much I can borrow. The reality is the moment you buy your 2nd property, your debt to income ratio is really starting to climb, and it's usually at that point got to the point that most lenders are starting to get uncomfortable with, which is around your 5 to 6 times debt to income ratio. Even if those first 2 properties are becoming neutrally geared or positively geared, in the bank's servicing calculators, they are putting things in place which are holding you back. The things that they're doing to hold you back are shading your rental income, maybe only taking 70 or 80% of the rent that you receive as actual available income for servicing. They're stress testing and putting buffers on your existing payments, and that's then, instead of calculating what your payment is actually at 5%, they might be calculating what your payment could be at 8%. And they are putting into their calculation all of your car loans, car leases, credit cards, and outgoing living expenses as sometimes buffered or hem or benchmark numbers, and that might be holding you back as well. So here's the fix with how to get past these initial servicing calculation issues. Number 1, have a plan of attack. Each different lender will have a different servicing calculator, a different way to assess rent, a different way to assess your other loans in your portfolio. So think about which lenders are good for my home loan, which lenders are good for my equity release, which lenders are good for investment properties number 1 and 2, and then what lender do I actually need to turn to for investment properties 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's a structure or a process in which you would start with deposit taking institutions that have really good rate for your home loan, and then move to more aggressive deposit taking institutions for investment properties 1 and 2. And then maybe we need to consider non-deposit taking institutions for properties 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A good mortgage broker can help you sequence the lending choices that you make to create a situation where you don't paint yourself in a corner. Now, the next thing I see property investors get stuck with is equity. It's usually they've got it, it's usually either locked up or they're not sure how to actually access it in the best possible fashion to keep them moving forward. Quite often we'll see they will have things poorly structured, or they'll have not really thought through how to get the most amount of equity out of their properties. So there's a couple of things that we do in order to tackle this for clients. Number one, get new valuations on all of your properties and multiple valuations. Right? The more equity we can access, the more likelihood we have of making that next purchase. So number one, get some valuations and get multiple valuations. Number two could be a structure. Quite often we see property investors that might have loans cross-secured, or maybe they're in a structure whereby they've got other things like business loans or whatever hanging off their investment property portfolio. This is usually just a rework of the current numbers. We usually move debts to where they can be. Owner-occupied belongs on the owner-occupied, investment gets moved to investment, business loans get moved back onto business loans that don't require residential property to be held as security, and therefore we're starting to free up equity to keep you moving forward. And the most important thing to remember with the way that we access equity and the way that we structure loans is we always want to try and make sure all of our properties are standalone facilities. Not having your properties as standalone facilities would be like trying to play chess where you've got to move every piece on the chessboard at one time. The benefit of being a property investor that's got standalone facilities is you can move each property or each piece on your chessboard one at a time to the maximum advantage. The next one is cash flow. Now, with cash flow, when you run out of money, that's it. That's when you actually get yourself into trouble. But what I see is the fear of people running out of money is actually what holds them back. If we can take away that fear, put decent buffers in place when we do our equity releases, then if we can allay those fears, create good buffers, have loans that are underutilized where the money is just sitting there for a rainy day, then that's usually the thing that helps clients be prepared to push forward and acquire more property. So what does that look like in reality? Well, if your loans are structured and you've got, say, in your portfolio an interest-only loan that is unused, that has the money in reader offset, that has 3 to 6 months worth of your required cash flow, well, that's plenty of time and good sleep at night factor. Doesn't matter what goes wrong in your portfolio, properties being unable to rent because of flood or tenancy breaches in Tenancy Act or something like that. If you've got 3 to 6 months worth of cash on hand, it pretty much covers all of your problems. The next one is look for properties that have a good rental yield. Okay, if you've got properties that rent really well and have strong rental incomes, then you're not so worried about cash flying out of your pocket in property holding costs. Think about your interest costs from a cash flow perspective and work out whether you need to think about fixing part of these loans in order to give you more consistency in your payments rather than just having everything on variable, riding on whatever the RBA decides to do every 6 weeks. And the last one is understand your cash flow from a tax perspective and maybe think about putting in PAYG variations in order to help you budget better and ride out the highs and lows. So the next thing that will help you move forward is just thinking long-term about your structure and strategy. Now, having your first 2 properties in your own personal name might work really well, get some tax deductions and just keep things moving along. But then after that, that's when we need to start thinking about, are we doing the right thing? Now, lots of social media say you should put properties in trust. And if you are planning on being a long-term property investor, starting to think about property 3 and whether that should be in a trust, a discretionary trust or family trust, for asset protection, but also for the ability for that trust debt to be considered external to your personal borrowings later on, this is when that strategy starts to come into play. Now, if you want to know more about trusts, we talk all about trusts in another video that I did earlier. There's a link to that video down below. Other strategy things that we should be considering is, should we be having investment properties number 1 and 2 put back on interest only? Should we be extending those interest only terms? And how does that then work in the servicing calculators for non-deposit taking institutions that helps fuel investment properties 3 and 4? So payment type and interest rate becomes actually something that, when considered or reconsidered, can fuel your next investment property. Last one is, consider debt recycling. Obviously, if we can put a process in place that helps you reduce your non-deductible debt, extract that equity and go and use it for tax-deductible deposits, that's going to keep things fueled for you in the future and enable you to buy more property. Sometimes I say to clients, you want to buy more property, the quicker we pay down your home loan, the quicker you can continue to keep purchasing. So those that move past property number 2, they have realized that it's a team effort. They surround themselves by people that help and assist them doing the following things. Number 1, they treat their investment property business like a business. They have a trusted broker, a trusted accountant, and a trusted buyer's agent ready to take their calls and give them ideas and directions to keep them on track. They stay financially organized. They always have the documents and data that they need to lodge their loan applications. They always have their tax returns, and they always have all of their financials always up to date. And finally, they keep learning, they keep reading, and they keep investing in their own personal education to know more. The more you know, the further you can go.